Hey everybody, welcome in. My name is Josh, this is the Game Video channel, and we are going to play some Frontier. We haven't been on Frontier in a little while. I figure we go back to it, see what's going on, see what's going along, and say a little bit of hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. And we have a little teeny tiny version of me down the window. Oh my god, it's so small. And the window is all messed up. Of course. Of course. So let's go back to our intro and fix that. Quit. I don't remember what fixed that last time. I think it was resetting the streaming thingy. Here we go. Let's try to start the game again. Here, game settings, windowed. Hope that works. Oh, we're waiting for that. We can get this one working too. Add a source. Video capture device. Ah! So huge. There we go. Whoa! Hey, check this out. This is my favorite. So I got a new camera because the old one died. And the old camera is literally old. It's like 10 to 15 years old. I'm wearing the wrong glasses. This is going to be a problem. Hold on. While the game starts, I'm going to get my other glasses. Hold, please. Sorry about that. Okay, Mike, thank you. Um, yeah, new camera. So I got this new camera, and the cooler part about this new camera is the old one was like you know, I had to be like straight on. I had to look at the camera and I had to be like pointing at the camera and I couldn't move. And if I was like, oh my gosh, I'm playing a game like that, I have to dodge something. You know, sometimes people will like, ah. But now, when I do that, the camera follows me, which is pretty awesome. And the funny thing is this new camera cost me half as much as I paid for the old camera. Technology these days. Anyways, welcome in there, everybody. Thanks for being here. My name is Josh. This is the Gaming Joy channel, and we are back on... what is this map called? Something in the forest. And oh my god! First time! It looks like our cabin is built. I didn't even know this was going to be like this today. This is a complete surprise to me. The cabin's built. And I didn't pick this cabin out. This is just the one that was on the map. But that's pretty cool. We have a wardrobe trigger. And as usual with Giants houses, you can't go in them, which is really dumb. Because you can tell from the way the house looks that it actually has an interior, except for the bushes inside. But they just don't let you go in. Well, maybe they do let you go in. Oh, you actually can go in now. Well, these bushes are kind of in the way. That's annoying. Bushes coming through the floor. Wow, you can actually go into the house now. That's pretty awesome. I like this little log cabin. It's not bad. I've actually never gone in it. I've never actually built it. But this one marks the first construction project that I've ever built in Farm Sim 25. That's pretty awesome. Well, welcome in, everybody. Model Houseman, JC Farms, and Artemis. Welcome in. Thanks for being here. We're just gonna... you know, the funny thing is now we have our sawmill. And we have all this wood coming at our sawmill, and we don't even have anything to build. Like, there's no other projects to build. There's nothing else to do with the wood except expand our land. So I think what we're going to do today is... actually, I'm going to look at the PDA to see where I was. So as you can see, we have this field. This is our grass field, which we started off with it being like here, and then we expanded, then we expanded, then we expanded. So our grass field is significantly large now. A big grass field. And successfully, because I intended it this way, if you look, it's all one length of grass. So even where like the crossover between fields is, you can't even tell. It's all the same grass height. It's 50% fertilized, so we do need to fertilize that field. So we actually should probably set a... I wonder if a worker will fertilize that field. Let's find out. We're going to get this tractor, which has been like our standby tractor since the first day. And we have solid fertilizer. I don't think we have a front weight, though. Do we? Do we own a front weight? I don't remember. It's been a while. No, because we need... we do. No, we have availability of a weight. Where's the vehicle menu? Do we own one yet? No. Spy weight. So we have a weight. 300 or the CSW 1500. I'll get this one. You don't need a lot. Maybe like 900 kilograms. I'll do 1500. And buy. Yes, thank you. And then we're going to see if we can get a worker to actually do the grass fields. Because the tires are... you can see the tires are like... they're up in the air. They're still a little bit up in the air, but that's okay. Alright, so let's just go in here and see if the worker will do it. Work. Do your job. Yep, he's gonna do his job. Sweet. Welcome in, Ridiculous Dominic and Beardy Geek Gaming. Thank you for being here. That was not effective at all. What are you doing, dude? Where are you going? I'm gonna just let him do his thing. I don't even care. We're gonna take this thing, use our steering wheel. Oh, you know what? So I instead of I used to have the steering wheel on the pedals on a mat, like this on the floor, and I changed. Which button is it? That one? And so now it's directly on the floor. I think it actually is working out better. It feels more solid. Before it felt like it was like falling all over the place. And I'm mostly full on grass. Seeds. But we can always fill up with more just to be sure. I mean, we're here, right? Start. Fill up. And then we're going to go down here and seal this field. So we have 2 fields. And I think we talked about it last time. I don't even remember what we were planning on planting. But I'm going to use this big field and plant like a standby. So let's do like sorghum. Let's just do sorghum. And then we're going to plant it ourselves. Just because that sounds fun. Where's the button for raising and lowering? Oh, you know what? That's why. Alright, we're planting some sorghum on this field, and here we go. Welcome in, thanks for being here. Welcome in, Farmer G. Thanks for coming along. We're doing okay. We had a little bit of a mishap last week, and the camera just died in the middle of streaming. I didn't know really why, but it did. But we recovered. We've recovered. Let's actually make sure the crop's going into the ground. Just because I don't want to waste my time. And there we go. It is going in the ground. And then this is our field we started last time. And last time this field went like here. And then I extended it and did this whole extra thing. So we have 3 pretty good size, really weird shaped fields. Just the way I like it. And the only downside with the way this crop is being planted is I did stone pick, but the stone picking left like a texture that's almost exactly the same as the seeding texture, so it's gonna look a little odd. So I got a question for you guys. One of the things I was thinking of doing on this map is planting one of the crops that I've never planted before, which is going to be long grain rice. Now, my question is, and I don't even know, is for the long grain rice. Now, not the regular rice, which is the one you need like the special field for, but the long grain rice. Where does that go? Right? I'm going to put me right here in the middle. Because I was covering up the speedometer. It still has to be grown in a rice paddy. See, that's the answer I needed. Thank you very much. I didn't know if it was going to have to be, so maybe we'll just do the long green rice on our Hootian Pantai playthrough, and we'll build. But that means it has to be on a flat field, and there aren't very many flat fields on Hootian Pantai, so that might be problematic. The other thing that might be problematic is the fact that I didn't actually seed this. Or I didn't actually refuel my tractor. Which might also cause a little bit of a problem. But that's okay. How is everyone doing tonight? We've gone another week without anything net new. We had a very flat map hit ModHub this week. Is that right? A very, very flat map. I didn't even look at it. It's a big 4x flat map. Not my style. I didn't even bother looking. Yes, the Bednar will delete trees. Just like any stump cutter will. So most stump cutters have a tree cutting option where if you're in stump cutting mode for any stump cutter, or if you go up to the tree, it'll just delete them. And you don't get any wood chips or anything from it. And my Batwing has a stump cutter built into it. If you use certain options. But there's no stump cutting on the front edge, right? Yeah. And so there used to be. I had to move it. One of my testers reported that it was causing issues. But yeah, but if you back up to a tree, it'll totally delete it. And it will actually delete even like the really big trees, like the big stupid ones you can't actually harvest any other way. But if you just want to delete it, or you want to just go around and like, you know, get rid of all those downy service shrewberry, whatever they're called, trees, you totally can. But you might have to back up to them. So as long as you back up to it, it'll work. So the map is called Flat Acres 4X, and you start with pretty much every crop equipment. Yeah. You know, that's sometimes fun. And some map makers really like doing that. I know SMB Modding, who I've done some work with, he really likes doing that as well. Starting you off with like an insane set of equipment. Multiple tractors, multiple tractor trailer combos, you know, all the headers, all of the grain wagons and bale carts and every piece of equipment you really need, instead of making you kind of build up, which is cool. I mean, everyone has their own way of doing things and having their own way of playing, and it's up to the map makers to kind of, I don't know, enable that. You have enough equipment that you can sell it to afford the next at. Well, that is an interesting way of putting it, and an interesting reason. This is going to be a weird one to back up. That's what I wanted. I wanted to go that way. Just to buy the Nexat. Now, I was actually thinking of buying the Nexat on here, in our playthrough here, just because we're making some really big, almost flat fields, or maybe not flat fields. One of our other fields is not flat at all, but we're making really, really big fields, which is somewhat different for me. I don't usually make super huge fields, but, you know, sometimes I do. And I never got to play with the wide span vehicle system in 22. Oh, actually, hold on. Delete. Clear. I never got to play with the wide span vehicle system in 22. Well, I did, but I didn't. Like, I did, but I was playing it on the Alone in the World challenge. And I started playing the Alone in the World challenge, but and I recorded it, but you guys have never seen the footage because editing is like the worst thing to me. I don't have any time or concept for editing, so I never edited it. So I have like 10, 15 episodes of footage. Never edited it. But I got to a point where I could afford the Nexat on that playthrough, but never actually used it. So I can't really say that I've used it because I haven't. So maybe now that it's a real thing, maybe we can use it on this playthrough. That'd be cool. Because we have trees, and we have wood, and we have my awesome sawmill productions. And that's going to allow us to make ridiculous amounts of money, which means we should be able to afford that system. So maybe, yeah, you have to use the Nexat on big fields. Like the Nexat would be perfect for like this map if you're making really big fields, or like 4 fields or whatever, the Umatana map that she had in 22. It would be pretty good for that map too, because you know there's only 4 fields and they're really big, and that's where that piece of equipment shines. Yeah, big flat fields. It would work perfectly on Flat Field 4X or whatever it was called. I'm sure it would work perfectly on that. I wonder if it would handle the hills. Oh, Giants built it, so it's probably not going to have enough horsepower, honestly. But it might. You never know. Maybe Dakota 4X or Dakota 16X. It might work on those too. Never know. Never know. I mean, you know, for sure. Thanks for coming in. The big reason, back to what Beery Greek was saying earlier about the Bednar, is the big reason it has the delete tree function is not just for deleting trees, but deleting stumps. And because deleting stumps is super useful if you're doing any kind of forestry, to be able to just literally mow over the stumps and get rid of them. And you can do that with the bed of the thing raised, which makes it easier. This is a much bigger field than I thought it was going to be. And I don't think I have the real speed mod on here. Alright, speed it up. Let's see. Nope. I just honked the horn. So how have mods been this week? I haven't even looked. Are we getting mods? I've been fighting a bug with the contract boost mod that only happens to multiplayer. Trying to figure out a way to fix it. Yeah, I haven't been able to find a good fix for it yet, but I'm working on it. And other than that, I've been actually playing Icarus a little bit. Just taking a break from Farm Sim for a little while until I get, you know, until I find a map that really speaks to me. Oh, they had to cancel early access to precision farming? Well, sucks to be them, then. Sorry. Well, I hope that they actually get us a version of precision farming that works. I was thinking, and maybe you guys can let me know what you think about this. We talked about a little bit a couple of weeks ago, I think, the idea of maybe doing a more of a like manual challenge where I actually play the game the right way or play it in a realistic fashion. You know, first person camera and no auto load, and you know, picking up bales either with actual legit equipment or with, you know, bale spikes and stuff. I've been thinking about that playthrough, and I want to do it on Palanier, but I don't know if that's something you guys want to see. I mean, it is kind of the definition of suffering, as far as I'm concerned, is actually playing with all of those kind of restrictions. But hold on, why is my keybind for this gone? Need to fix a keybind real quick. Controls. EV. EV, open config menu. Right alt. No. Should be right control, not right alt. All these are set to right alt. They shouldn't be. I think it's because of my laptop. Save changes, yes. Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted to see. Yeah, you know, playing legitimately is I'm agreeing with you 100%. It's definitely a side of the game that I don't visit either. Visit's a funny word, actually, and for me, surprisingly accurate is visit. Like, you're just going along for the ride. You just happen to be visiting. You're gonna do it for a little while, and then you're gonna be like, "Yep, that sucks. I'm gonna go back to the way I normally play." Right? But I agree with you. It's something that I rarely visit, and it's just a way I don't normally play, and not because I don't like it, just because I feel like it's halfway there. You know what I mean? I don't know. So what I mean by that is, I feel like that kind of realism is really halfway supported by the game. Like, if they really wanted players to play realistically, then you should be able to turn off this camera, the one I'm using now. You should be able to turn off this camera, or you should be able to disable this camera, or you should be able to have manual attach. Like, manual attach should be a thing. And I was kind of waiting for the Palanier playthrough to do it with that. Hold on. I was really hoping for manual attach to get released, because I want that playthrough to be manual as possible, I guess. But since it's not, manual attach is not out yet, as far as I know. We can't do that. But we'll see. I mean, that would make it harder. That would make that series much harder to do and much more challenging, right? Come on, fix camera. There you go. Well, welcome in. Hey, Psycho Kid. Thanks for coming in. Farmer G. That's why I started modding, to make things easier and more enjoyable for myself. 100%. And that's why I started modding too. when I started modding, I did the same thing a lot of players did, is take some of the realism out of the game for the parts that I didn't really enjoy, right? So you start off by making trailers have a lot more capacity, or you start having like more fuel or more horsepower. I think those were like the first couple things that I did from a modding perspective. And then the other thing that made it more enjoyable for me, and this is just me, but I wanted to be able to paint my tractors. I mean, call me crazy, but not everyone wants to have a green John Deere tractor. I want if I have a car, if I buy a car from a dealership, I should be able to paint it. As far as I'm concerned, not being a farmer and not really caring about brand loyalty, I should be able to paint any tractor any color I want. And so a lot of my mods, quote unquote, my like hacks or my like first edits that I did were all exactly that. They were just, you know, editing a tractor to have a little bit more horsepower. Not a lot, not stupid amounts of horsepower, but a little bit more. And then making them paintable and making them colorable. Or making them be able to have more colors than just the two options that they have. Like the... what was it? The Massey Ferguson tractors in 22. I don't know if they did the same thing in 25. I haven't looked. They had these Massey Ferguson tractors, and they were paintable. But your choice was like either Massey Ferguson red or Massey Ferguson dark red. And that was it. And like, I don't want it to be red. I want it to be black. And so I started figuring that side of things out. And that's how I got started. And it's kind of snowballed from there. And some of the mods that I've released to ModHub were not that, but they were ways to make the game more enjoyable. Or, in my mind, to fill gaps that Giants may have missed when they built out maps and buildings and productions and filling stations, selling stations, and whatever else. Like all of the things that I've done and I've released are to meet a need. You know what I mean? Like the Batwing mower. I mean, the Batwing mower is a Batwing mower. Like, they released it as a cultivator. Now, a mulcher. Now, technically, I know it is a mulcher in real life, but I wanted a mower that looked just like that, so I was like, oh, I'll just use their model and turn it into a mower, right? And I thought, while I'm there, it's like, while I'm in the code, I might as well just make it awesome and not sort of awesome. Make it really, really awesome and turn it into everything that I want it to be. And that's where the Batwing came about. And that's how it came about. It's just, you know, wanting to make it as cool as possible. And I still have one more update I'd like to do to that tractor, that mower, which y'all see soon enough. As soon as I can figure out how to get it to work. If I can get it to figure out how to get it to work. I don't know if I will be able to. We'll see. But hey, thank you to everyone who's used the mower. Thank you to everyone who's bought it or downloaded it. Thank you to everyone who's rated it. That means a lot to me. Exactly. I like customizing things, making them my own. I always want every tractor I have to have big, huge tires. You know, I feel like that's like... feels like a monster truck thing. And while I don't care anything about monster trucks themselves, to me that sounds fun. Let's cut the field in half. The one thing I haven't been able to do, and actually the sawmill was... It will get streamed when you get all the trees off my land in Dark Forest. Nice! How do you like the new Dark Forest map? From what I saw, it looks really cool. It looks really good. It's a nice rendition of Mr. T-Bone's maps. He's done a good job with it. I'm out of coffee. Oh no. I'm out of water too. Why do I keep hearing... I don't know if it's just a noise. I think I keep hearing bees in my headset. Like buzzing bees for some reason. I don't know what that's about. Whoops. But I've been enjoying seeing all the maps that have been coming out. I think that there's a lot of really good map makers and a lot of new people entering the scene, making really, really great maps. And I've been helping some of those people fix their maps or make them better, or, you know, add functionality, or, you know, helping out where I can. You know me, I'm always one to help the community. But there's a lot of people who maybe were content creators before, but now they're entering the map making game. And they're creating maps and enhancing, you know, everything that they're doing. And I think that's really awesome. I love to see people trying something new and getting out of their comfort zone. And then I also love helping everyone who gets into that to be able to attain their dreams. There's a few of our friends who've made maps who never made maps before, like Chuck Armatsi's map, which is already out on ModHub. Our friend Tony Miff, he also has made his own map that is, I think, almost ready for, if not already submitted. And our friend Jakester, he's making a map. He's actually making a... Our friend Jake, he's making a map for Pennsylvania that looks freaking amazing. I've been helping Star Spangled Mods go through a couple of his maps. He's also making a Pennsylvania map. So it'll be like 3 people I know, including myself, are making Pennsylvania maps. I guess Pennsylvania is a hot topic tonight. Hey, Jay Meister, welcome in. Who else? I know there's a couple other people who are like trying their hand at map making. Even Rusty says he wants to get into map making and make his own map, which is fantastic. I love seeing and hearing people who take on new challenges and, you know, stretch their knowledge and stretch their ability and try new things. I love doing that. I love seeing that. And I also love helping wherever I can to help all of those people attain their goals. You know, that's super fun and enjoyable and hopefully rewarding for everyone. For me, I definitely want to do at least one map. I have a whole plan for a bunch of maps, but, you know, time is very short with me, and so I'm not sure how many of them I'm going to get to do. But I want to get at least one map out, and hopefully some more. And then I have some other mods that I still want to work on, but those are all going to require more knowledge than I currently have, and an understanding of Blender, which I don't have, for those to get completed. Well, that's awesome, Psycho Kid. That's one thing I'm looking for also. I'm looking for someone who wants to edit. So I can't stand editing. I can't stand video editing. I like live streaming mainly because I don't have to actually spend any time editing video. Partially because I don't like listening to myself. So like when you record, right? You have to listen to yourself a lot of times over and over and over and over to get the clip right. And I don't like listening to myself. When I stream, I never have to watch the stream again. Sometimes I will, just to like find a moment or find something that I shared that I need to make sure that I, clip properly or post links properly. But I'm just not a big fan of listening to myself. So, and not only that, editing takes so much time for me because I'm new to it. It's a new thing for me. It's not something I'm used to. And even though I put out 75 or so edited videos over the course of 22, I don't know, 75, 100, I'd have to look. It was challenging for me not only to edit those videos and record them, but for me a lot of it is just finding the time to do it. Finding the time to record is hard enough, but then finding time to actually sit down and edit, which requires a lot of focus, is tricky for me. Just so busy. Let's see how the other guy's doing. Oh, thank you for saving. That's really nice of you. Looks like this guy is moving around the field. Question is, how good of a job is he doing? Growth, soil composition, fertilized. What's this guy doing? Is it just me, or does... Oh. So you're driving around the field and it's fully fertilized, even though you don't know that it's fully fertilized, and you're still going? It's fully fertilized. What are you doing? Hold, please. Oh, he's like fixing the fertilization. Okay, I'll let him fix it. Apparently it was patchy, and so he's going to drive around the entire field, blipping, to fill the holes. Whatever. Yeah, it is definitely a never-ending learning process. I'm still learning. But for me, it's like, where do I spend my time, right? And where do I spend my time, and where's the most value to me in that time spent? And personally, I like live streaming because I don't have to edit, but also because I can share my live reactions with you guys. That's important to me. I like that part. The editing only makes sense if I'm trying to tell a story. And I think for 22, a lot of the edited videos that I did were challenges, where I was progressing through a challenge, and the only story was the challenge itself and the completion of the challenge. And so there was no story element to it. And I think that if I do any more editing this year, one thing I want to do, and I'm not sure how to do this yet because I've never done a role play of some kind, is I want there to be a story behind what I'm doing. Come on, camera. Fix. Thank you. But again, I don't even know where to start with that. And then obviously the time it takes. And so I think where I'm planning on for this year is, and for this YouTube channel, is I'm probably going to stick away from I'm probably not going to do any challenges for 25, unless, other than this one, or I'm actually doing two challenges. So the Can You Survive challenge and this one, which is my own challenge that no one else is doing, but whatever. And I might actually do, if I find the right map, I might actually do, again, the author intended challenge, which was another challenge of my own creation. I might do that if I find the right map at some point. But I think if I do any content, I'm planning on, just so you guys know, I'm planning on probably just only doing tutorial content. So similar to the live modding that we've been doing on Fridays, but doing actual tutorial based edited videos that take that, you know, the live modding content, but trim it down into a digestible size. I am hearing bees. There are bees in the game. I didn't know that. Every once in a while I get a bee passing me, and I'm hearing bees in my headset. I know it now. I'm not going crazy. I swear there's bees. But yeah, I'm probably just going to do tutorial editing. CapCut for a rough edit, and then DaVinci for final edit. Interesting. I use DaVinci altogether, just end to end. I've never used any other editing programs, but I did start thinking about. I'd love to do like a rough edit, but I'd love to, if I can find a way to do it or find the right software, I'd love to do a I'd love to do an AI rough edit. I would love to just dump in a bunch of film clips and say, hey, AI, do it. Do the rough edit, and then I'll go in and clean it up. Because honestly, the rough edit is, for me, the annoying and time consuming part. And the part that I enjoy is like the details and like the transitions and you know, doing stuff like that. That's the part that I enjoy. But the rough edit is, to me, something that should be automated, right? And I feel like there should be software for it, but I don't know what that software is. So if you guys have any tips on an AI based rough editing, kind of do with that rough edit of an edited video, dump a bunch of film clips in, and, you know, maybe with no transitions, just, you know, content to content, I would love to have something. I think I would probably do more content if I did it that way. Or even somebody who wants to do the rough edits for me, and then I would go in and do a final edit, maybe. I don't know. Something. But I think that I'm not going to be able to do edited content without either something AI or someone, a hired person, to help me. It's just, I don't have the time to do it. Family and job and all that kind of stuff. Just don't have the time. I'll have to check out CapCut, Munchies. I don't know anything about it. The other one that I looked at that said it had some AI features in it, but I haven't actually. I downloaded it, but I haven't actually looked at it yet because I just have no desire to do any editing right now. Is Filmora, I think. That was the only one I can think of that I've looked at that supposedly has AI features, but who knows? So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe. But I also go into editing just the same way I go into everything else, right? I don't go into something halfway. I go in all in. And so I'm looking for not something that looks half-assed. I want something that looks legit. And for me, edited videos are the same way. Like, I'm not going to just do a quick edit and post it. Like, I ended up going through you know, a lot of people will do like a rough edit and then do a final edit and they'd be done, right? And that's not me. I'm doing rough edit and then 2 or 3, sometimes 4 rounds of tweaking. Plus I'm adding audio. Plus I'm adding background noises. Plus I'm adding voiceover every once in a while where I said something wrong on the original recording. Like, I'm going all in. And I don't know how to not go all in because I want my content to reflect my level of, I don't know, passion for what we're doing. Passion for what I'm doing. Maybe. I don't know how to say that. Well, yeah, I'll definitely check out CapCut. Sounds fun. I love the suggestions. Thank you very much. We've been going a while now, but I really only have like a third of this field done. I think I just missed that, did I? No, I got it. Yeah, so I was an Adobe user back in the day. I think I started using Adobe back with like Photoshop 2, I think, 2.0. Not CS2, but 2.0. So late 90s. And you're right, Photoshop is kind of a bear. It always has been. And now, but when they switched to a subscription model, where the only way you get Photoshop through a subscription model, and then they made you like buy the whole suite just to get all the features, I was totally turned off by Photoshop and Adobe. I like to be able to buy software once and then be done with it. And if I have to upgrade to a new version of software, I'll upgrade to a new version of software. But I'm not going to upgrade to a new version of software where I'm spending, you know, $800 every other year, you know, on a piece of software. That just doesn't make sense. Unless it's like for a business or something. If it's a software for a business, then I might consider, you know, spending that much money. But it would have to be, you know, a business expense. But streaming, creating videos for YouTube, for me, it's not a business. It's not a profit source. It's just for fun. It's a hobby for entertainment and a way to share my passion with you guys and maybe, hopefully, teach you guys a thing or two along the way. I'm certainly not going to teach you about how to video edit. That's for sure. But I might teach you some programming, right? We might learn some programming. We might learn some XML. We might learn a little bit about the interworkings of Giants and Giants Editor and how the game engine works. Which for me is, if we're all honest, is where the fun is. Partially because I get to fill in something that isn't available from Giants. Right? There's no documentation. I mean, there is, but not really. There's a few tutorials, but they're super generic, and Not very specific. I see a few patches of land here that I don't think I'm actually planting on. I wonder if I missed something when I was plowing. That would be funny. No, turned the wrong way. Welcome in, everybody. Got 4 awesome people watching. Thanks for coming along for this live stream. I know it's not very exciting tonight. We're just coming along and planting our field. We're gonna go plant another field when we're done. But I think we might switch it up. This playthrough, as much as I like the idea of it, we've been playing this playthrough for 10 episodes now, and I like the idea of mods only, but at the same time, I want to experience some other maps now that we actually finally have maps. And the whole reason I started this challenge on this map is because it was the only map we had, other than the base game maps. And that was the reason why we stopped here. So I think that I'm probably just going to, I don't know, let this playthrough go defunct, maybe play it once every couple months. Whether I continue to play on my own or not, immaterial. I might not continue it. I might just take all of the equipment and go to a different wilderness map at some point. Maybe one of my own making. And we'll do a square by square on my own map. We'll see. But I think I've... You know, maybe once we go through and harvest this field, maybe play with the Nexat a little bit. I don't think we're going to be on here very much longer. Now that we actually have maps coming out, and we actually have people creating some cool content, whether it's content for me or not, it's kind of immaterial, but we have people creating content. CS2 was your first love. Interesting. Interesting, Munchies. That's exactly what I went to school for. I started off in computer science and tried to switch to design. But they never let me in. I tried because they didn't want to, because the school I was at, design was part of the art department, and if you didn't come in through the art department, you couldn't be part of the art department, and they ended up never letting me actually. I took 1 or 2 art classes, but they never actually they never let me really be part of that department, so it didn't work out for me. But I am a software engineer for a living. I do that full time now, so the computer science side of it stuck around for sure. I think programming classes, I agree with you, programming classes are repetitive. I mean, in some ways, what some teachers fail to teach you, which seems like a silly concept, a teacher who fails to teach, with programming and programming classes, and with a lot of stuff like that, a lot of stuff in college, what you're learning what you're really learning are the fundamentals. and the concepts. And it's up to you as the student or as the person who's learning to then take those fundamentals that you're learning and maybe in a language that you don't ever foresee yourself writing in, and take those fundamentals and apply them to something you are passionate about, that you do like, right? Like I found that while the programming stuff was the programming courses I took, which were super early on, which were like I took classes in like assembly language and Pascal and C, not even C plus or C plus plus, but C. Java was like a figment of people's imagination at that point. Um, but you're learning the fundamentals. Then you have to figure out how to apply that to something you like. And then once you find a subject you like and you can apply all that knowledge, that's what makes it awesome. And so, like, for now, I can, you know, like the contract boost mod for this game, right? That's written in Lua. I didn't take any classes in Lua. I've never learned Lua. I taught myself Lua. But I was able to do it because I learned all those fundamentals in college. And now I'm applying those fundamentals to something that I care about, something that I believe in, something that I'm passionate about. Yeah, see this? Here, look. Wonder what this is. You know what it is? Actually, I know what's going on here. See these patches of ground? We must have had a storm. And those are touchdowns of the storm where it destroyed the plowed land and made it so that I can't seed there. SQL is super interesting and is so more widely used today, especially in web design or web engineering, than it's one of those things that you learn it once and you'll use it forever. But anyways, I think that like those little spots that I was seeing, like here, and here, and here, and here, and here, those are all touchdowns from a storm. I didn't know that the touchdowns from a storm, which I never saw, by the way, it just showed up. I didn't know that the touchdowns from a storm could affect your fields before you seed them. Which only means it's going to be more work for me, because now I'm going to have to go over those spots and plow them so that I can come over with a seeder and actually seed them. Which is going to be lots of fun. Hey Brady, welcome in. Thanks for being here. I'm doing like Zamboni style farming. Just kind of taking, or lands. I think they call it lands. I'm doing lands. I got most of this field, like almost all this field done, right? Eh. Yeah, I've gotten a good 2/3 of this field done so far. That's pretty good. This seeder is pretty wide. This is the Bednar combo system. That's part of the base game actually. Since I have a thing for Bednar, I figured it'd be a good seeder to use. So I went in and edited it to be colorable and to use less seed than normal. I should update it to actually do both seed and fertilizer. Because that's weird, because it has 2 tanks. But it doesn't do seed and fertilizer. It only does seed, but it has 2 tanks. So I might be a good edit to actually update it so that it actually does both seed and fertilizer. I might do that actually. But at the same point, who cares? I'm not going to release it on ModHub. No one's ever going to see it. So do I really need it for myself? That is the question. Maybe. Maybe. So who's excited for precision farming? I actually, since I was new to 22, oh, ITT Tech? Ah, interesting. I've heard about them. I've never been there. Precision, I was new to precision farming in 22. I never played 19 or anything earlier. So it's all new to me. But it was definitely one of those things that it made the whole farming experience more active, I think. And I think that I used precision farming on almost every playthrough that I did after it was released. Almost every single one. For no reason other than it was enjoyable. It was different. It added more technical stuff to this very basic process of seed, roll, harvest, repeat. Seed, roll, harvest, mulch, repeat. It added some more technical stuff and added more like kind of chemicals and stuff. I really hope that for 25 that they include water as part of precision farming. Like, I really hope that we start getting watering systems. And that we get, like, pivot sprayers, pivot watering systems. We get sprayers that actually support watering, so you actually use those big spraying trucks to water your crops. And that you have to actually water them 4 or 5 times before harvest, like once a month. I really hope they include water, and weather for that matter, into the precision of precision farming. I doubt they will, but for me, that's the next thing that would take it up a level is actually adding the factor of water into farming, because it is an integral part of farming on everywhere in the world. And it's the one thing this game doesn't do, is it doesn't take into account the moisture. And so I really hope that precision farming this year adds moisture and moisture levels and moisture monitoring and moisture meters. And like, I hope the other thing I hope they add in is it is also part of normal farming, but you could call it precision farming. I hope they add in having to take not just soil samples, but crop samples. So when your crop comes ready to harvest, and most crops can be harvested within a window of, a month or two, I would love to see them include, if they're going to include water, also including how dry a crop is when it gets to be harvest time. Which would make it even more realistic, because you can't really do how dry the crop is at harvest time unless you include water. So if you have a really rainy summer in the game, then your crop would be even more moist, and you'd have to actually harvest the second month versus the first month because you're waiting for it to dry out. Or if you're watering all your crops yourself, maybe because you're watering and you're on top of all the watering, that you can harvest early because you help the crops grow better. Like, if you had a really dry summer but you watered really effectively, maybe you could harvest early. I don't know how any of that would work, but I really hope that they add moisture into precision farming. I don't think they will, but for me, I think that's the one thing that's missing. Is if you're going to add the moisture into precision farming or into the game altogether, maybe it's a separate mod adding moisture, and it's not part of precision farming because precision farming is a John Deere thing, right? Maybe adding moisture in, which could come as like a DLC. I'd also want to see it come in for stuff like for tedding, for like grass. Like I should be able to either ted the grass right away to turn it into hay, or leave it on the field for a month, and then the next month it'll be dry and it'll already dry into hay. That would make sense and be more realistic, closer to real life, where farmers will mow grass and they'll let it sit, hoping again hoping for dry weather. And if they get 4 or 5 days of dry weather, then it would be hay and it would just change, versus what we have now, which you can leave it sitting on the field forever and nothing ever happens. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but you could mow a field, not pick up the grass, go 3 months, then mow the field again, not pick up the grass, go 3 months, mow the field again. And of course you're going to like be running over your grass and it'll become moundy, and with the new way we have ground deformation and compression, soil compression, all kind of stuff, it's going to be harder to mow, but you can. Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. What other feature? Other than moisture? No. I mean, I'd like them to fix some of the bugs they've introduced into the game. I think that would be more important to me than adding a new feature. Like, the price scale is still backwards. Like, I don't understand how they can be this far into the game and the price scale is completely backwards. Like, if you're an easy economy and you go to buy a product and then you switch to hard economy, that product should be more expensive, right? Because if it's harder to play the game, you're on a hard economy, prices should go up for things to buy. They go down, which doesn't make sense at all. Your profit goes down, but also the cost goes down, which doesn't make any sense at all. It's totally a bug. I've reported it to Giants. They apparently don't care. But they haven't fixed it yet. I don't get it. Whatever. So stupid. But as far as if I was looking for features to add to the game, I don't know. I think that the realism factor should be built into the game. Stuff like manual attach, like manual fueling, like having to go, if you're getting gas for your tractor, you're gonna have to go and get out of your vehicle, go up to the gas pump, grab the nozzle, put it into the thing. Like, I want to actually add like almost like Power Wash Simulator kind of level of realism, if the player wants it. Not be forced down your throat, but if the player wants it. I think one of the other things that I think Giants should spend more time on, not really a feature, but I think that Giants should realize that players want customization. They don't always want things just the way they are. So some people might want to play where, like, the seed usage rate is super high, or it's super low. Like, I like playing with it super low because I don't want to have to fill up my machine every 5 seconds. Some people might want to play with it super high. Same thing with contracts. Like, the whole contracts boost mod is there because it gives players the choice to be able to customize how much they're getting paid for contracts. I think Giants really needs to understand that players want customization. They don't just want out of the box. And I think the mods that are on ModHub show that. The downside is that those mods, like my contract boost mod, you're never going to see that on console. So console players are shit out of luck if they really want customization, because they're never going to get it unless Giants adds it. So stuff like manual attach or customization of like economy settings or customization of like buildings or colors or all of these things that we as modders, especially PC player modders, take for granted that we can just edit something and use it. Console players they don't have that access. So they literally have to play with what's out of the box. My problem is that Giants' vision of that box is very much like a horse with blinders on. They don't see what's on the outside. They don't see the other ways that people are doing stuff. They expect people to play it one way and one way only. That's it. And that's, I don't know. I think that's not necessarily the best. It's not necessarily taking the players into account. And so I want to see Giants add in more customization over little things. Like, I put down a production building. What if I feel like, personally, to me, that production building's too slow? I want to make it faster. There's no way to do that. Not without a mod. And I've written dozens of mods that do stuff like that. And I have one that I want to do for 25 that does that for productions. But, like, console players, again, they will never get that. And so unless Giants adds it, stuff like that's just never going to happen. And that stinks. Because they're focused on what makes them money, not necessarily what the players want. So those players, especially the console players, are just not going to get it, you know? Yeah, like, exactly. Like, they waited for a modder to add back the vehicle screen, which I didn't get that mod yet, but I saw that. Because people are tired of going through two different submenus to get your vehicle screen. They just want it on the left side sidebar all the time. Just like it was in 22 and 17 and 19 and every other version of the game. They don't want it in a submenu. They want it right there. Why not? Stuff like that, just, you know, they wait for the modding community to fill it in. But then again, the same thing, and this is the point, is that's a cool idea. Console players are never going to see it. Hey Joseph, welcome in. Thanks for being here. Munchies. I don't know, actually. That's a good question. I think how do I say this? I would imagine that GE, if they had written it right, would support multiple texture resolutions. Like, if they had done it correctly, GE would support multiple texture resolutions. Like most games. But instead of just supporting multiple texture resolutions like most games, they have this whole LOD system. And most games have LOD systems, but in most cases, that LOD system is both texture and triangles, as far as I understand it. But Giants, you can only apply one texture to a building. And I don't think they support 2K or even 4K textures. But I believe that you can use them and that the game engine will support them. But I would bet money that GE doesn't. And so the way to get around that is to build your map or building or whatever it is using low resolution versions of those textures. And then before submitting it or before using it in game, manually editing the i3D file to the higher resolution version of those textures, and then using those. That's what I would suggest. And they should scale automatically, because if I don't know if you remember, or actually much as you don't know because you're new, new to FS. There was one of my favorite maps for 22 that I played on my own, recorded, never released. I have a lot of those things where I record, never release stuff. Was Mappa Italia by EDO Mod. Now, Mappa Italia by EDO Mod came out and was released on ModHub with standard resolution textures. Now, the game engine will support higher resolution textures, but it makes the file size really big. And so what EDO Mod did, is they released a texture pack for their map that used higher resolution textures, but you had to actually install those textures yourself if you wanted to use the higher resolution textures. And because they were just selling images, they weren't selling mods for the game. I don't want you to zoom out like that, you stupid camera. Since they weren't selling mods, they were selling textures. They sold the textures, and so if people bought them, then you could change them yourself by editing the XML, and by basically downloading the map and not even editing the XML, just replacing the textures folder with a high resolution version of the same textures folder, and all the files were named the same. So all you did was just use a different textures folder in your zip file, and you were done. You got all the high resolution stuff. So that's how I would suggest to do it. I wouldn't imagine that GE is going to handle it very well. So I would just go ahead and build your mod or map or whatever using normal resolution textures, which I believe are like 1024 by 1024. And then have 2K PBRs that are the exact same image, just higher resolution, that you can apply later on, just by swapping out some files, right? That's what I would suggest doing. GE is probably gonna scream and cry when you try to use high resolution textures, because it's not optimized for it. Because when GE loads, it's gonna load everything and then try to give you an editing 3D modeling space with high resolution textures, and it's just not built for that. So I would definitely say, don't let it stop you, but know that you can do it in the game. The game engine will support it, but I don't think GE will. Does that make any sense? That's my guess. That is not a proven fact, or proven fact by myself, but I do know there are modders such as EDO Mod who did that for 22, and as Farmer G says, they actually did it for 25 as well. So go that route. Follow that pattern if you can. Oh, don't worry about it. Then the questions are always welcome, and if I can't answer them, or I can't give you a guesstimate of what the answer is, I will do my best to help you find an answer off stream. So feel free to ask. That's the one thing about learning, is you can never be afraid to ask. There are no dumb questions. And if someone says that that's a dumb question, then they're just high on themselves because they don't realize that everyone isn't as smart as them. So always or never be afraid to ask questions. And if I can help, I will. And if I can't, I'll let you know. Because I know when I learned and when I ask people, I'll ask other modders questions for something I don't know. And some of them will be a jerk and be like, yeah, I figured it out yourself. I literally have gotten that answer from people. And other people will actually be nice about it. They'll be like, okay, well, this is what I know. I don't know if it's going to help you, but this is what I know. Try that. And then I actually sometimes will find the answer that I need. And there we are. This is the last pass on this field. And we're going to have to fix these blotchy parts, but we can do that later. Yo, Northern Farm Sim, how are you doing? I'm actually back on New Frontier. I haven't made it very far. I'm only 10 episodes in. Just because I did a bunch of stuff in the meantime, but, you know, I figure I'd go back, do some fun stuff. By the way, what crop should we do in our other field? I was thinking corn or something like that. Doing sorghum here. I don't like any of the new crops like peas and yada yada yada. They're all boring to me. I rarely do corn. And the Nexat has a corn header. We're totally going to use the Nexat to harvest all this. Once we sell all of our crops, once we sell all of our wood in our fill station, and we're going to be cruising. All right, so we're going to go to this next field now. But before we do that, we're going to tab over to this guy who should be done. Where are you? You're as far away from the field as possible. Okay, good job. I don't know why no one uses this tractor. This tractor is actually a really nice tractor. I mean, yes, it has green windows, and yes, you only get it in that weird teal-green color. But if you get a modded one like this, it's pretty awesome. It's smooth. It's got great features and functionality. I mean, it is forestry related, but, you know, not everything can be perfect. Alright, we're going to come in here. Go there. Nope, wrong one. Drop that. Grab our roller. Oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to leave the weight over by the house because the house isn't moving. But everything else will. We're going to end up moving a lot of this stuff when I finally build a farm. We can't end the stream without the series without actually building out the farm, right? Oop. Driving on the grass. I remember... is it Umbrium? It was... something like that. I don't remember the name of it. I do remember... I know which one you're talking about. I don't remember the name of it. It was a very hilly forestry map. Yeah, that was a good one. I remember, I forget who. I think it was Mike. Mighty Mike Farms, one of our channel friends. He did a really cool roleplay series on that map, I think. I think it was Mike. Alright, well that's getting going with a roller. He's totally not getting all the way to the edges, but whatever. Yeah, so you can totally see those. Now that I've rolled it, you can see those patches of area that is just not getting taken care of. So, all right, let's do corn. Oh, corn or sunflowers? Maybe sunflowers. You guys got a 30-second poll. 1 minute poll. Whoop, I typed the wrong keyboard. All right, you guys got 2 minutes to vote. Corn or sunflowers? Corn cribs, that would be cool. We could get a corn crib mod. Those corn crib mods look pretty cool. I've never used those before, but they did look cool. Okay, 1 more minute on the voting. You guys pick how many people are going to vote. I think we only have like five or six people in here, so. We only have 9 people here, and we only have 3 votes. Come on, people. Click the button. Click the button. Vote for which one you want. Corn or sunflowers? Alright, looks like we're doing corn. Not sugar beets. Oh my god, I would never do sugar beets. Not that I would never do them, I just... Yeah. Alright. Turn it on. Lower it down. We're gonna go. We're gonna be crazy and go clockwise on this field. Oh my gosh. Clockwise. You know what? We'll do sunflowers in the next field if we ever do any more fields. Held up a cob and voted. Well, we'll have to go ahead and get that corn crib mod. Maybe we'll have to edit it and update it from being 40,000 liters to being like 1 billion liters. Maybe. Because a field this big, you guys will see this field. This field is pretty crazy. It's very crazy shaped. I tried to go with the contours of the land. And like where leaving some of the forests and really just like kind of like just removing the trees in the open areas. Tried my best to make it look like natural. There we go. Can't believe we're still using this Alice tractor that we've been using since the beginning. We're not even a year into this playthrough. That's the crazy thing. Oh wait, we should make sure that the crop is working. It looks like it's working. Thank you for saving for me. It's really nice of you. Corn. We're good. And then this is like that little lake stream thing they got going on this map. I tried to like wrap around it, sort of. Being that this is a pretty hilly field, this is going to be an interesting one to harvest corn on. Yeah, we totally just missed that spot. I'm not getting the outside edges of this field very well. I'm like trying to avoid the trees, but I'm not being super successful at it. I need to zoom in. Where's my zoom button? Zoom button right there. Corn tortillas on Monteith. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of these new crops that are coming out on some maps. Some of them are super overpowered. Like the 2 Carl TG maps are using his peat mod, which since its beginning has been ultra overpowered. Like you spend the money to buy the field, you harvest like a third, maybe a quarter of the peat bogs on his first map. What was it called? Tassie Farm. And you could buy the whole map. Like super overpowered from a cost perspective, from a crop perspective, but you know, a fun mechanic, something different. I do know that he's coming out with an update to that map, to Tassie Farm, and he's updating the look of the peat in its initial growth stages and harvest ready growth stages, so you'll be able to see it now, because right now you can't see it, which is kind of weird. But I had a fun conversation with Carl about that whole thing and all the stuff he's doing for modding and map making. Guy is prolific. He's also still in high school, which is insane to think of. But, you know. Yeah, everybody's got their own thing. Everyone's got their own thing. I think one of the things I'm looking forward to, and not every map is doing it. There's a few maps here and there that are starting to do it. I'm starting to see more of it. But I really want modders, you know, myself included, honestly. For maps, I really want to see people use the construction system more. You know, as of right now, the only construction system stuff we're seeing on maps are just the base game construction things. Like the little farmhouse we just built, right? That's just a base game one, right? Nothing special. But I can't wait to see more things like what PV Rivers has done, where, you know, you're building things that make your map better, or you're building actual buildings the way life works. Oh, I want to open a dairy. Okay, I have to build the dairy, and then I'll have a dairy, and then I can use it as a production building. Like, nobody's done that yet. And I can't wait for that to happen. I don't even know if it's possible. I hope it is. But no one's done that yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing production buildings that are buildables. I'm looking forward to seeing placeable objects that are buildables, like walls, or, you know, you start off on a map that has dirt roads, and then you pay money to a paving company, and you provide the paving company with gravel and concrete and asphalt, and then eventually you have asphalt roads. Like little stuff like that, I think would be super awesome. And I can't wait to see more people do that. I know that, like, obviously Farmer Andy, as Northern Farm Sim is saying, is going to incorporate some of that stuff, but that's just Hofbergman, and Hofbergman's not on ModHub. It's probably the hardest map to download right now is Hofbergman. Like, there are no other maps that are as hard to get your hands on as Hofbergman. It takes the cake, 100%. And it's always been that way, from what I understand. It's always been a pain in the butt to get, download, install, whatever. I played on Hofbergman a little bit in 22, but I felt it was too manual for my style of gameplay. And then I went and, like, I was like, okay, well, how can I change this to be my style of gameplay? And so then I spent a bunch of time customizing universal autoload for all of the pallets on Hofbergman for myself. And then I started using universal autoload, and I was like, okay, this is not fun anymore. It wasn't fun to begin with, and it's even less fun now. But Hofbergman is definitely its own beast, for sure. Yeah, like, the building your own house and then being able to live in that house. Like, that, to me, makes sense. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I talked about this a lot in 22 when the roller coaster came out. I think the Giants is missing... they're still missing the boat. Totally missing the boat. Right? I want to be able to have a silo that I can build. And I want to be able to hire a silo company to come out. I want to place down the concrete pad for a silo, and then I want to have to provide the metal rolls to that silo and build up a silo, or provide concrete to a silo and get an American style concrete silo, right? I want to be able to build a barn and provide the wood and concrete and metal and beams and all that stuff to be able to build a barn. And then I want to park my tractors in that barn. But here we are, 5 months in, and no one has done that yet. And so either, because I haven't looked into it, so I can't say one way or the other, either the system is too hard to use, or we just haven't had modders think that that's what they want. That's what I want. I want buildables. I want lots of buildables. If I have my way with the assets that I currently have in my possession to be released as placeable assets in FS25, I'm going to make as many of them as I can buildable. Right? I want to make them buildable. I want you to be able to actually build out a silo or a fill station, or, you know what I mean? But I think the easy one, the quickest one to do, the quickest one to execute on, would definitely be silos. Or barns. Barns is going to be the easiest one to execute on with the stuff we have in the game. To do silos, you really need metal. And since metal is only on Silver Run Forest, which I think was a miss, we probably won't see buildable silos because you need metal to actually do that. And since metal doesn't exist in the base game, you can't do that. Yada, yada, yada. But I think that it would be worthwhile to have some of these things as buildables, because I think that makes the game more fun. Makes it more of a challenge. I don't want to have to spend, $150,000 for a silo. I'd rather spend $1,000 for a silo and then do the work to provide the products to build that silo or barn or what have you. And yes, they included stuff like decoration barns, but even that's a miss, right? I can't show you on here because I'm on a mods only version of the game, so my mod is active, so it means that when I go into the shop, if I go into the construction menu, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I'll show it again anyways because it's fun. If I go in the construction menu, there's nothing in here. Like, there's nothing in here. And then if I go to the vehicle menu, like, I have one planter. But if I come down here to the construction menu, I only have the mods that I've downloaded. So that's it for silos. No base game stuff. Silo extensions, nothing in constructibles, nothing in containers, just mods. Most of them my mod. I don't know, and that's the thing, Munchies. I don't know. I don't know for sure if it's hard to create a buildable mod. I do know that, think about it this way. The way Giants have set up the buildable mod system, or the buildable construction system, is at each stage of the process, there is a visual for that stage. Okay? So think of a scene in a movie, right? You have, Act 1. This is what the building looks like in Act 1. Then you have Act 2. This is what the building looks like in Act 2. Act 3, blah, blah, blah. And so for each stage of a building's being constructed, you would have a different model. So instead of, if you had a constructible building, instead of it having one model, you would have 6 or 7 models, maybe 10 or 20. Hey, Jaked Up, welcome in. Thanks for being here. So to make something constructible, you would literally have to have multiple versions of that model that all line up and to show the progress of each stage. And so that's, let's say there's 10 stages. That means there's 10 times as much work. 10 times as much modeling work to do. And if your model is not built in such a way that you can hide and show pieces of it, then it's not going to work. Right? Just because those are the requirements for the buildable thing. And I just unplugged my headphones. That was cool. So for the buildable thing to work, those are kind of the requirements. And so because of that, people aren't going to be able to make modders. It'll be much, much harder for modders to make buildables unless they own the model. And what I mean by that is, you guys have seen it on ModHub today. A significant number of the buildings that are on ModHub are not net new. They're not custom. They're not like, Lancy Boys barns or whatever. They're just people rehashing base game buildings and turning them into something else, or adding new things to them or whatever. It's a lot of base game buildings just being reused over and over and over. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's part of the modding community. Giants still allows people to reuse base game buildings. And someday they might not, but as of today, they still allow people to reuse base game buildings. Oh, really, Jake? That's awesome to hear. Congratulations. Because of that, they don't actually own the original model. And since Giants builds their models to be one-offs, only one version of it, unless you have the original file, the Blender file that created that building, you're not going to be able to easily, you can do it with lots of hard work, you're not going to be able to easily break that building down into multiple parts so that it can be built. Does that make sense? And that's just a limitation of the system. That's a limitation of the way it's set up. So I don't think we're going to see, if any, more constructible base game buildings. We may see custom buildings. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the custom builders who model their own sheds and barns and whatnot, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those come out as constructibles. But for the part of the modding community, myself included, who don't make their own models, that's going to be much harder. Congratulations on an operational map. I think that's amazing, Jake. And from what you were showing me, it does look very, very cool. And it does look exciting. How much fuel do I have left? I have 36.9 liters left out of 400. I don't think I have enough to finish. So let's disconnect. Not that. Let's disconnect this. Let's get some gas. Thanks for coming along, Munchies. Feel free to jump in and ask me questions anytime. Either ask those questions privately, or you can ask them in the modding chat channel. There's lots of other really smart people on that channel and my Discord. For those of you who don't know, I communicate a lot on Discord. And I didn't type that correctly. I tried typing with one hand. It was pretty good, actually. There we go. I actually just remembered there was somebody new who came in a little while ago and asked a question right before I started playing that. No nickname. No nickname. That's an interesting nickname. Welcome to the stream. No nickname, by the way. I'm very sorry for missing your comment. I hope you're still here. As far as yes. As far as bugs in the default map, I'm scrolling up in my chat. The main starter, yeah, so there's lots of bugs. There's lots of bugs in the game in general. I've highlighted some of them. Giants have fixed some of them, don't get me wrong. They have fixed a few of them. Some of the things that I've pointed out as bugs and talked about in my streams, they've fixed. There's some things they haven't fixed, such as like the price scale, like I was talking about earlier. But as far as the maps themselves, yeah, I agree. The maps are buggy. The base game maps are some of them are pretty buggy. I wouldn't know because I've fixed them. So I'm playing on Hutan Pantai, from a base game map perspective. But I'm not playing on Giant's version of Hutan Pantai. I'm playing on my version. And I actually fixed a lot of the bugs that I saw in that map because I knew I wanted to play on that map long term, and I wasn't going to put up with stuff being broken. So I fixed a bunch of stuff on that map, and then because I'm playing on my own version, that means that I can continually fix stuff on that or any map. So I almost always play on for most maps that I play on, I will edit because most maps don't meet kind of my internal standards for what I expect out of a map. I'm really picky about stuff like that. So I don't typically play on base game maps. As an example, I'm playing on Hutan Pantai, but my version of Hutan Pantai, I can buy the whole map. The base game version of Hutan Pantai, you can't buy the whole map. You're blocked from buying the whole map. Because it's just not viable. There's plenty of places on that map you can't buy. And that's because Giants doesn't make them viable. because somebody decided somewhere along the line that they didn't want the whole map buyable, which is fine. That's their decision. It's their map. But I made it all buyable. Right? Yeah, all of Giants maps are always that way. There's always parts of the map that are not buyable. Giants will... I don't think that's ever going to change. I think Giants is stuck in their ways. They don't realize that people want to customize. They don't realize that people really want to make something their own. Like, I don't think we will ever see a Giants map come out that has the entire map buyable, or most of the map buyable, and has removable buildings everywhere. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Most Giants maps have some buildings removable, but only on, like, the player farms. The other stuff is not removable. Which speaks to their... In some ways, it speaks to the kind of author-intended attitude. Like, they're like, we're the authors. We don't intend for people to edit the map, so too bad. And while I understand that from a certain perspective, not everyone plays that way. Not everyone wants to play that way. So, yeah. It's kind of a bummer, right? Well, I don't necessarily think Pharmacy, I don't necessarily think that that's a fair statement. I think that Oxygen David, like many other modders who've been around for a long time, they did learn their mapping from Giants. And they do follow Giants' best practices because it's what they know. But I think with anything, as things progress, we're seeing a lot of newer map makers who haven't been doing it a long time, like Oxygen David, coming out with new and innovative ideas, like this map. This map is a great example. This map was originally made and released on ModHub before GE was released. Like, the first versions of this map were created without GE at all. And Ola customized this map completely using a different piece of software that wasn't GE. And so and not only that, most of this map is procedurally generated. So he didn't place these trees, all of these trees, he didn't place them. He randomized it. He wrote a script to randomize the placement of the trees and what kind of trees they were and where they ended up being and all that stuff. Like, there's a lot of new blood coming to the modding community who are thinking outside the box, and because of that, they are making things that are, I think, pretty spectacular and different and new ideas, and coming up with things that other people just haven't thought of. Right? And I think that that's what makes this community awesome, is that there are people like Oxygen David or Farmer Andy. Like, those are two different people, right? Oxygen David, he's very good at making really, really, really detailed maps. Honestly, very similar to Giants maps in the way that they're detailed and very detail-oriented, and custom buildings and sometimes custom crops and custom everything. Everything is new. Everything is unique. It's nothing from the base game. That's Oxygen David's way of doing it. Or you get people like Farmer Andy who are they're like, okay, well, I'm going to do what Oxygen David does, but I'm also going to do stuff that Giants doesn't want to do. Like having a butcher and having animals be a product. Like, Giants doesn't want to do that, but Farmer Andy's like, okay, well, I'm going to push the envelope and make something that is more real life than the actual game is, which is great. Go for it. More power to him. You got other people who are creating, big maps, 4X maps, or creating lots and lots of productions that, like Poor Boy, making tons of productions where one production leads into the next production, which leads into the next production, which leads into the next production, and making these really complex production chains, which gives a player more to do than just harvest, seed, over and over and over. Like, yes, it is a farming game, and yes, that is the basis of farming, but I think as players, we want more. We want more to do. We want more things to learn. We want more ways to use our land. And I think that that's going to come from, a lot of that's going to come from new blood, or from people who are like, I don't agree with the way Giants does things, and I don't agree with the way maps are built today, so I'm going to do it differently. Like Munchies, who actually was just here. He's making a map that there's something that was in his head that, from what he's told me about, and I'm not going to spoil the secret, I'll let him announce it when he's ready, is going to be nothing like any map has ever been before. Nothing. And I think that's cool. I think that's interesting. I think that's different. I have some crazy ideas for maps that are also like nothing that's out there now. I hope that I am able to actually accomplish them. But we'll see, you know? Like, I want to break the mold. But yeah, the base game maps do have bugs. And the only reason I think that they have a lot of bugs, or more bugs than most, is I don't actually think they have more bugs than most. I think it's just the fact that they're what everyone plays. So when everyone is playing on the same map, doing the same things, then there's more eyes on it. And so when there is a bug, it's more visible. Whereas you might get a modded map like New Frontier that might have bugs, and I actually know people who've lost their entire game saves due to bugs on this map. But no one really hears about it because it's a modded map. It's not a Giants map. And so I think that sometimes those cries for help are not heard, because it's just less visibility. If that makes any sense. This is such an interesting field. I have no idea what it's going to be like to harvest this field, but I imagine it's going to be crazy. And if I can harvest it with something insane like a Nexat, that'll be even better. But the problem with harvesting this field with a Nexat is I think the Nexat, based on the way it's set up, I don't know if it's going to be able to like handle like crops all the way up to the edge of the field. I haven't used it in 25 yet. I've just seen pictures. So I will get to experience it alongside you guys when it comes out. But unfortunately, we're almost done with this field, which is good, which is fortunate. I'm going to go ahead and let the workers finish up this field. I'm going to finish up seeding these couple passes. But that's actually going to be the last thing for me tonight. That's going to be it for tonight. We're actually at time, or just a tiny, tiny bit over. And I've got a dog waiting on me to take them out for a walk. So I'm going to have to get going. But I do want to say a super big thank you to everyone who came in, everyone who joined, everyone who came along for the fun. Don't know what we're doing next week, but I think we're going to try to do, I'm pretty sure, 95% sure that next week we are going to try and do Palanier. And I'm going to do the playthrough that I've been intending on Palanier, and I have a theme for it, I have a backstory for it, and I have how I'm going to approach the map. We're going to try to do it as manual as possible, and if manual attach gets released, we're going to add it to our playthrough, because that sounds crazy and annoying and fun in some small weird way. But so come back next week for Palanye. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button. Let the YouTube know that you like the stream. And I want to give a special thank you to all of our channel members. We have a few channel members who've helped out this channel in different ways and at different levels. And our channel members, I want to give a special thank you and a special shout out to all of our channel members. Thank you for helping to support the channel. Thank you for being here for me. And until next time, I'll catch everyone later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.